You ready?
Hang on.
You can stand in front of. I wouldn't. It'll blow you up. The backwash will kill the ship. Seriously, move,
Okay,
dude, move.
back. Hang on. Ah, trying to back up a bit.
And 3, 2, 1, fire. Oh. Fire.
Oh.
So that's mining. Look at all the rocks fall.
I likes it. Holy shit. It's the way it just fires one missile then another. I'm actually quite impressed. Look at that, a wall of missiles in one shot.
Oh, fired at the same time to start with. Right.
Holy shit.
So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. That was a really weird kind of, I guess, day of playing. We were trying to really figure out what the extent of the missiles and stuff can do. Right, fast forward. We're now going to show you how, well, this is my little mining drone. Mining is going to be central to this game, I think. I think that's pretty fair to say. And what I wanted to create was, I guess, more of a proper vessel now. What I've been doing up to this point is just plonking stuff and not really thinking about the mechanics of it. But the reality is these modules like the reactor there and the gyroscopes, they're going to have to be protected with some form of armor, etc. So this is where I think I wanted to create almost like a proper mining vessel. I'll call it my mining drone, but you see what I mean. And I think really what I wanted to try and build with this, and a lot of this was experimentation as well, because I didn't really know how certain things like the cargo bay worked, etc. So there's a bit of a learning point here, because what I was trying to do was create the miners at the front and then have the sort of single large cargo bay at the back. Although already I've kind of put on lots of small cargo bays, not realizing actually that's not a very good thing to do. Obviously then looking at the thrusters, now again you've got to be careful. Look at this already, just by putting those thrusters on I've actually dislodged the reactor, so I need to take that reactor off and put it back on. So there is a little bit of skill and crafting capability in this game that hopefully you're seeing, because it's a nice part of it. I'm really enjoying it, more than I ever thought I would, to be honest. And really what I think I'm trying to do now is kind of build the excellence of building in. So this is where you get something really good. So hopefully you're seeing what I'm building here as maybe a constituent of that, because again, you need all the kind of directional thrusters, but in theory, this then is ready to go with a good gyroscope. It will turn on a penny, it will have quite a bit of power, and it will actually be quite capable. As a mining vessel, let's say, a little mini mining vessel, it's going to have the ability to move in obviously quite tight spaces. So as you saw, we were kind of, we were using rockets to create tunnels. You'll do the same thing in this. You'll dig into an asteroid and create a tunnel. So the profile of this thing as well has to be quite kind of slender, let's say, because otherwise you'll have something that's a bit fat in the ass, as you would say. And as you can see, I'm trying to kind of keep this simple as well. So I think I was going to usually I try and put on like 25 drills and then wonder why it doesn't work. The reality is you only need 2. You could even get away with 1, to be honest, but we'll go with 2 to begin with and see how this one goes. And also you can see what putting on here is landing gear as well, because the idea is that you'll have a dozen of these, clamped to the side of a large mothership, which we will show you building in the videos to come. We've actually built this huge mining vessel, and hopefully you'll like it when you see it. But I thought the best place to start is obviously with the little mining drone, because we talk about building Titans on this thing, and I know probably a lot of you are saying episode 16 and you haven't built Titan yet. In the next episode, we'll show you the beginnings of building a very large ship. The game has some performance issues when it comes to the largest styles of ship, because I think it's an issue to do with loading all the blocks and such. So there is a big issue with building something extraordinarily huge. So you couldn't probably build a Titan. Well, as I say this, there's been a patch to the game that actually means that you probably could build something much bigger now. So I'm not saying I'm not going to build it. I'm just saying that at the moment it's been problematic, let's say. But anyway, in the next episode, we'll show you the beginnings of building what is, in essence, a phenomenally large ship. 6 decks, huge, literally huge. Yet it still works. There's no point building a great big ship that does nothing. You want to build something that actually can do something. And hopefully, when you see it, you'll like it. Anyway, so back to our kind of miner here. First thing I noticed here is it needs a spotlight. Now, so obviously, every mining vessel should have a spotlight. It should be sort of showing... there we go. So if I put my lights on, there we go. Not particularly good because the sun's quite bright, but in the asteroids, once you've got in there, you will have an issue. So, you know, bear that in mind. And what I thought here as well is, you know, what can we do perhaps to make this a bit more kind of credible? So obviously it needs some form of beacon. These don't do anything at the moment, but I think at some point there could well be a communication element to this. So maybe you can't talk, or I don't know, who knows. But there is beacons, there's communication arrays, etc. That I thought would be going on here. Now there is also an ore detector, which I think, again, I can't wait for that to work, because we have done mining, and you know, hopefully you've seen that. Mining is going to be front and center, is essential in this game, so I think it's really important to bear that in mind. And what I also thought made sense was to put a rocket launcher. Now, the observant among you will notice I've put that on the wrong way around, so this is about to get interesting. But effectively, the rocket launcher is there really to dislodge general stone. So, you know, I've put a bit of thought into this. You know, the miners don't just have to work on their own. You could just sit there and fire your rockets at the asteroid to just create a path to the rarer ore. The rarer ore is obviously signified by the various coloured patches that you see up on the rock, and I think, you know, that's actually the majority of what you have to do. Now we're just beautifying this a little bit. We're just going to put some nice curved angles on this thing, and we're just going to encase our engines rather prettily as well. This is quite an important part of the game, because you should have that kind of feeling of connection to what you create. Too often I think you create kind of, you know, blocks that do something very functional, but I think you should always try and make something look a bit cool, otherwise it just looks a bit crap. So there we go, that's just a nice little engine housing. Looks pretty sweet, doesn't it? And this is our drone. There we go. Just created a copy. So everything I do, I create a copy before I try it, because otherwise if it goes wrong you don't have to rebuild it, or rather repair it. And immediately I tried my rocket and it fired backwards, which is lucky because I almost hit my copy. So a bit of a learning point there. So here we go, we're just going to turn this around. There we go, so that's now working. And again, rarely would I use it, but it's really just to sort of show, you know, that it's there. And as you can see, the ore detector doesn't work yet, but we have our reflectors, so I'm just going to turn their radius and their kind of intensity up. I think the lights on these things are quite important, so definitely going to make them a bit more kind of prominent. You could change the color as well. You could have kind of red and, you know, green and blue and all that, but again, we're not too worried about that. Let's try it out. So here we go, mine, dig, and that's doing quite well. So what's happening is that the majority of the ore is being drawn into the drill bits themselves. So one of the key things that's coming into the game soon, now I don't think it's in yet, but again, this was, you know, this could be, by the time this video is released, maybe it will be, is what you call the connectors. So you can see there the drills are actually picking up ore. The containers just come with that ore in them, so it's a bit of a kind of you know, an error, let's say. But the drills themselves do get they do actually store the ore themselves, and you actually get at the ore by using the sides of the drills. Now my first thing here is I'm noticing that actually there's no point having like 5 or 6 mini what do you call them, containers, cargo containers on the ship. You're better off just having 1 or 2. And I thought, well, what I would like to do is to build 2 very big containers at the back of the ship that then allow you to easily get access to the ore. So I'm just going to replace a gyro. That's the first thing to do. And then what I'm going to do, and I thought I'd put the gyros outside because I like the gyros, they look pretty sweet. What I thought I'd do is I'd actually put the cargo containers on the outside. Now, there is a block coming called the conveyor. Now, post in the comments if you actually know if the conveyor works. I've looked everywhere, and apparently it doesn't work currently. But I like the idea of having these kind of very big side-mounted, you know, kind of cargo cans, and then channeling using the conveyor block the ore from the drills into these cans. And that hopefully is how they're going to design it to work. I don't know if it is. I'm just hoping that it is. So, you know, bear that in mind. But I like already the fact that this is becoming quite an interesting kind of, you know, experiment, because you could become quite sophisticated with a lot of this. You could even have a ship that automatically refines, etc. So, you know, we'll look at that in a bit more depth later on, but having those medium containers, as you see there, is obviously quite a nice thing to have, because what we can do with that, in, you know, once working, is we can channel any stone and rare ores, etc., into those cans in time. As you can see, these are the conveyors. They don't currently work. Although please post in the comments if I've got that wrong, because I'm not aware that they do. But as you can see, you know, I pretty much did a bit of a Google and it looked as if you can't. But there we go. That's our thing. That's our mining vessel pretty much done. And that would then be used to obviously capture loads of ore. You would then use the refinery to create the frames of the blocks, and then that would be where the game then escalates from there. So join us next time when we do finally begin the large construction of a large ship. And for those of you who watch British sci-fi telly and comedy, hopefully you'll recognise it when you see it. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.